Well, thanks for joining us on BloombergQuint. It was a launch-packed weekend with two and key defining launches as far as the auto sector is concerned. Now, one of them is Ola's electric scooter and in the nascent but heated up electric two-wheeler scooter market. And another one is the hotshot SUV market. But the only thing common between these two launches was the aggressive pricing. Ola has priced its entry-level scooter at about 99,999, inclusive of FAME to subsidy, but inclusive of FAME to subsidy, but exclusive of the state subsidy, which could also price it almost at the same pricing of a conventional petrol scooter. And M&M's big bet on the SUV space with an aggressive price tag of 11.99 lakh was its entry variant of XUV 700. Now, put things more into perspective. Joining me is Hormazd Sorabjee, needs no introductions, Ezra of Autocar India, and Gaurav Vangaal. He is the Associate Director at IHS Market and closely tracks the Pasca story for India. Thank you guys for your time and staying to BloombergQuint today.
Thank you.
Let's start with Ola, the most hyped up launch of the weekend. What do you make of? I'll start with Hormazd with you. Does it check all the right boxes to be the EV killer in the 2V story?
Yeah, well, on paper it ticks a lot of boxes, and I say on paper. I'll come to that later. Obviously, you've got very, very aggressive pricing, and then if you finally take in all the subsidies which even the states are going to be offering, it comes very close to an ICE vehicle, which I think really is the main tipping point for takeoff for EVs. But obviously, in terms of spec, also it's very, very well spec. In terms of performance, all the gadgets it's got. So really a very, very compelling package. But of course, one now needs to see when it gets on the road. There will be concerns on a retail network. Plan is to, I don't think there's any big plan to have a proper retail network with service facilities. I'm not sure of that. But so I think, yes, there's potentially, it has the potential to disrupt the market. And clearly, I think, what they have done is kind of laid down an intent. And I think, as they say, one thing I will agree that the revolution definitely starts here with Ola and its pricing. And now one needs to see how much market share and how much volume they can get.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's a defining moment for the company. Right? They're going all in with this launch with huge capacity. I think the capacity that they're eyeing with the future factory is about 2 million. 1 million is already ready. So right. They're not hoping anything less from these launches.
Yeah, but 1 million capacity, that's fine. But you still have to have a supply chain. Let's say with EVs, the supply chain isn't that well developed. So these things take time. I mean, it's not that easy. It's a very nuanced business at the end of the day. It's full scale manufacturing. So obviously they have built a team, but it's again something one needs to be careful as, because there can be a lot of slips between the cup and the lip in something like this, because there's a lot that goes into producing vehicles.
Right, Gaurav, coming to you as well. You've been talking about the chip shortage as well. How much of the impact that could derail Ola's plan, because that problem seems to be just worsening by every day?
Yes, that's right. Actually, since I think since January we are tracking the semiconductor impact in India also. This is getting worse in quarter 3 specifically, the quarter 3 of calendar year 2021 to be very precise. I believe that it is going to impact a lot of new launches and then the volume ramp ups. So it will be not easy for anyone, those who are bringing their launches in this quarter. It will not easy for them to ramp up, and they're buying at premium right now. What we understand that they're buying this, they're buying these chips on the premium. So there will be impact, but yes, it depends on company to company, supply chain to supply chain, and model to model, and how they wanted to do the product mix. Whether they wanted to go at the lower side or the upper side, it depends on their own supply chain and what margins they're having in the market.
Right. And Ola being fairly a new player in this game, they might not have those kind of connections with the suppliers, right? And that will be an added challenge for them.
Yes, definitely. That definitely it will be having an added challenge to them. They don't have the purchasing power, defined purchasing power. They have to look into it. That I believe they would have done something already. before launching this product, because you know that all of the Western markets are struggling because they have a higher connected features and the EV vehicles available in their market. So when Ola comes to it, I think they have to struggle, and they have to find what level of content they are having and what level of purchasing power they can use in front of their suppliers.
Mhm. And almost on the EV story as well, do you think it can also pave way for a larger adoption? Does it have enough to build that excitement?
Yeah.
They've already had good number of bookings.
No, absolutely. And firstly, I'd just like to just make a point on the purchasing power. I think that's one thing that Ola has is purchasing power. They're very well funded by SoftBank. So I think they'll just they can literally buy their way through anything, whether it's market share or or even semiconductor. So I don't think that's really going to be an issue for them. It's more a issue for traditional players who have to kind of generate cash from within, and they don't have huge purse strings to bank on. But anyway, coming to the EV adoption, I think absolutely, and I think one thing which companies like Ola can do is they can really stimulate overall EV adoption, because I think what will happen for starters is that whoever comes in first, they are going to have the pain of building the EV infrastructure. Or the first few players are going to feel that pain. And once that charging infrastructure is built, the charging infrastructure, I think then whoever comes in after that, will have that benefit as well. So I think definitely, it's very exciting actually. Frankly, I think we should all definitely be going towards a carbon-free future, and it has to happen. My only concern is the pace of change. Are we getting too optimistic or excited? Because clearly the Indian market isn't, I would call, very EV friendly in many ways. Whether you take the charging infrastructure, the overall cost, we are super price sensitive to the market. And of course, there are policies which are helping EVs, but at the same time, it helps government to keep the oil economy going as well. So, there are all these issues as well one needs to, bear in mind. So I'm a little skeptical on the pace of change. It is definitely happening. It should happen fast, and that's something we should welcome. But I think we need to be a little, I would say, let's say, not conservative, but a little just cautious on how it's going to happen.
Right, but then at a range of about 81 kilometers for the top variant and 120, that's a good decent range.
Yeah, it is a good decent range. But if you've driven EVs or ridden EVs, the way I have, it's the ranges can be. Its range is still a challenge. Whatever you say, it's not predictable the way it is with fuel. I mean, so in the city, it's fine, absolutely no problem. I think you have that, and most two-wheelers will be confined to cities. But for long drives, or long rides, it can be a challenge. And the EV range is so sensitive to multiple variables, so the range just drop immediately. So that's something which one has to even watch in real world how it really pans out.
But to the other OEMs, traditional OEMs who haven't brought a EV product yet to the market, do they be having that FOMO of what should bring a product as soon as the?
It is FOMO, but more than FOMO, I think it's just insurance right now. You need to have an EV in your portfolio just as insurance, because of just the way the policies are suddenly changing. Obviously it's going to, everyone's on this EV wave. All the states also are now on the bandwagon of giving subsidies. You never know when, IC engines might be banned in certain parts of the city. All this sort of thing could happen. And, and the way policies are done here, it's immediate knee jerk. So, one needs to, I would say it's right now insurance. Also, I think, from an investor standpoint, everyone, the EV is what everyone wants to invest in. So I think these are more the factors than reality on the ground and the demand on the ground.
Right. And coming to the XUV 700, Mahindra needs a big hit. I mean, they have done tremendously well with Thar, but again, they need a big hit to drive on that SUV story in the country. Gaurav, I want to get a sense. How big of a hit do you expect XUV 700 can be for Mahindra, and can it deliver what they're eyeing for a long time? Gaurav, you're on mute again.
I think as far as pricing is concerned, I think they're trying to target a wider bandwidth. They're targeting both the side from higher end of the Seltos and then going till the Safari upper end, right? So this is a higher width bandwidth, 12 to 22 lakhs, what I believe they're targeting. If you wanted to say that's just aggressive pricing, I have a bit different view here that even though it looks like, but yes, an introductory pricing strategy, I believe it is this they are following right now. If we talk about Thar, yes, Thar they have done well, but there's always a gap between what initial report says and what they deliver. We initially heard about the Thar as being very hit, and they're going to do 50,000 bookings, and good bookings they got already for the Thar. But unfortunately, they're able to deliver only 23,000 in the last 1 year. So that's a worry. What we see, they have to ramp up, and they felt the heat of the semiconductor again there in the Thar segment. In this XUV 700 segment, they got benefit of the gasoline engine. That's definitely it's a benefit for them, and they're very smartly positioning their vehicles variant to variant, and then they have a benefit that Ford has already cancelled their volumes. But overall volume, if you wanted to ask that, I think they're not going to. They are going to at par of XUV 500, around 40 to 45, 50,000. That's all that they're going to do. That's what right now.
Hormazd, do you think it's an SUV killer?
Well, I think if you look at the specs, look at the pricing, just on numbers on a spec sheet, they've hit it out of the park. No two ways about that. Even the car over the last 2 days. So I think, really, I think for them, it's, I wouldn't say make or break, but this is their kind of attempt to just claw back lost market share in SUVs. But as Gaurav said, I think their main challenges, and I think Mahindra has been worst hit out of all the OEMs on the supply side. They've really had supply issues, production constraints, and really, it's really sad to see a product like the Thar, which has so much demand, waiting list going into 8 months, 10 months. I mean, that's just absurd. That's not a good situation to be in. Of course, it's great to have the demand. So I don't think demand is going to be a problem for them. I think it's more the supply side which they need to take care of, because I think, you can see with the new management, there's a kind of a new determined focus. They've shared all the areas in which they know they can't win. So, even on MPVs, Marazzo, it's going to be phased out eventually. The small KUV 100, which was going into Maruti territory, you can't fight over there. So they are absolutely focusing on areas where they can win. And I think what's happened with that is that, all their resources are channeled into fewer and bigger bets.
Right. But a lot has changed in M&M as well. They have a new design strategy. The logo has changed. You have driven the vehicle. What are your initial thoughts in which, how does a Mahindra vehicle feel from inside? A lot has changed with this XUV 700, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, the way the car business works, it's not that it's changed overnight. This car has been 3-4 years in the making, so it's still part of the old guard, and one has to kind of remember that. So, but obviously, the logo is a kind of a symbol of new change, and that's the first job which I think Pratap posted, who's a new designer. They post from Tata Motors. So clearly, I think the intent is there to kind of chart a new beginning. Obviously, the XUV, when it was conceived, the way the car business works is you really have to forecast. So it's been conceived with, let's say, another 10-year life cycle probably with it. So, you get everything. You get the future tech in it. You've got all latest technology and more electronics in it, of course, which again makes the chips a big problem. And now they're using Qualcomm chips, which is really the Rolls Royce of chips in there. So really, they're leaving no stone unturned that way. But, it's really an electronic tech fest right now. But clearly, I think if you ask me, it's got a lot of the competition in a way napping, because it's really made them look suddenly outdated with the amount of features that the XUV 700 has. But I would agree, there's a volume is something which, one has to see what they can finally pull off. And again, this is introductory pricing, as Gaurav said. I would expect them to raise the price. I mean, logical time to do it is if they launch in October, probably in Jan, when it's a new model year change.
Right. Gaurav, anything you want to add in the way what M&M should watch out with this product? It's all in for them also.
I think the good thing is that they're bringing their next generation vehicles on the unibody. So monocoque structure. That is what a future. Because that the CAFE norms is coming, and then we have the emission standards, new emission standard. What we are looking in 2027, that's a BS7. What we are expecting as of now. Right. So I think unibody is the right way to go. But yes, traditional business or the conventional business of Mahindra always remained with the body on frame with the vehicle like Scorpio and Bolero. So I think more they shift towards the unibody because more than 90% of the global SUVs are driven on the unibodies or the monocoque structure. So I think this is a high time that they should look monocoque structure as a main thing. After Bolero, I think that's what they're doing currently. And if you see the XUV 300 success, if you see the now what we believe XUV 700 drawing 45,000 numbers, it's a good number for them. When the market is being already filled by the multiple players like Seltos and Creta, and then next year or the very next year, we are bringing Maruti Suzuki entry into the segment. So I think they should look into the unibody structure more promisingly.
And lastly, Hormazd, they need to bring out more launches, right, to keep up the momentum, the excitement that they might have built with XUV 700. If there is no product for, they have a slew of products line, I think 6 and 7, but they need to keep up that game going.
Yeah, so I think it started off with the Thar. Exactly 1 year later, you had again another all-new model, the XUV 700. In between, you had the refresh Bolero Neo. Frankly, that's just a TUV 300 done again, but that's just part of the model life cycle refresh which has been done. I think the next big one I feel will be Scorpio, because Scorpio is an iconic brand. From what I understand, again, there's a lot of technology into that. And, it's really been the face of the new Mahindra in 2002 when it was launched. And that's the model which kind of transformed the company then. From one that made rural vehicles to one that gave a little bit more sophistication to the brand. So I think Scorpio is again going to benefit. Again, they will have their real strength are their engines right now. They have really cracked the powertrain, and that's probably why they're a little late in the EV game. So because they know they've got an ace up their sleeves with powertrain, whereas Tata is the other way around. And both the petrol and the diesel, they're outstanding engines, fully compliant to meet future norms as well. And I was just speaking to the engineers yesterday, and they said they're very comfortable in meeting the future norms with a combination of petrol, diesel, and eventually EVs to get the CAFE numbers that they need.
Right. Great. It's a pleasure speaking with you guys. Thank you so much for your time. It's to be seen how much of an impact the chip shortage will have on XUV 700 and if Ola can keep up the momentum and excitement that it has built with its electric portfolio. Thanks a lot, guys. And thank you all for joining us on BloombergQuint.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nishant.